Thank you, Greg, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Dave Schubmehl. I've been in the software industry for many more years than I want to count at this point, but let's put it this way, over 30, all right, at that point. I started out as a programmer. I don't know how many people, anybody still program in COBOL? Or assembler? Okay, those are old things for us old programmers. I started out as a software developer, worked my way up through the program management group, through the product management group, into line management. I ran the enterprise search business for OpenText for 10 years. And I've been with IDC now about almost 5 years, and have really been one of the people that got involved on the ground floor with cognitive AI. And personally, I think I've got the best job at IDC right now. I'm having so much fun, learning about AI and its applied uses and all those kind of things. So, what I want to talk to you today about, and we can kind of go through this. So, in terms of an agenda, we'll talk a little bit about how IDC views the world from a technology standpoint and who IDC is. What are cognitive systems? What is artificial intelligence? Why are they important? Then we'll get into those workplace examples that Greg actually talked about. The market opportunities and use cases. I'll talk a little bit about some of the vendors and what they're doing. And then, it wouldn't be an IDC presentation without some predictions and some guidance, for people. So, there we go. So, how many people are familiar with IDC? Hands up? Not everybody, I'm thinking. We're, as Greg said, we're a market research firm. We're really a technology research firm, is what we are. We examine technology, how it impacts enterprises, what should they be using, what shouldn't they be using, how do they use it, where are they going to spend their money. IDC is well known for counting things. If you ever heard, somebody say, well, the number of smartphones went up 25%, all right, in the last year, that's IDC. That's counting those smartphones, or helping count those smartphones. We do a lot of different technology research. I'm in the software group, and we're looking specifically at how software is going to change the world. IDC view of the world is that, we started out with what they call the first platform. Basically mainframe software. IBM mainframes and all those kind of things. Does anybody remember the IBM 360s and 370s? Yeah, okay. All right, so people probably might. Anyway, so that really the first platform as IDC defined it. There was a tremendous wave change in the early 80s around client server. Companies died, companies lived. I don't know how many people ever remember the Seven Sisters, all right, that used to be there at IBM. It used to be Honeywell, Burroughs, all those different companies that really don't exist as computer companies anymore today. All right, Univac, all right. Those companies, a lot of those companies died when the client server companies came around. People like Digital Equipment, people like Prime, different people out there. Those second platform companies really didn't make it into the wave of the third platform, all right? And the third platform is really what we're starting to see as social, mobile, cloud, and big data analytics. We're also seeing the consumerization of IT, all right? What was previously held behind a room with a glass, and you had to feed cards to it and things like that, that's all gone away, all right? Everybody has a computer at least as powerful as that IBM mainframe that's sitting in their pocket, all right, in their iPhone or Android phone today. So we see the third platform as a dramatic change, and the world is still, beginning to take on the effects of that third platform. What's changing that even faster is what IDC calls innovation accelerators, all right? And these innovation accelerators revolve around, as you can see, robotics, natural interfaces. I want to talk, or I want to gesture, or I want to do, look at something. 3D printing. The world is changing around 3D printing. It's crazy. The Internet of Things, all right? where everything is getting counted, everything is kept track of. You know, how many people have actually gone to Disney World in the last, 12 months, all right? Magic bands? Anybody know about magic bands? Okay, that's the Internet of Things applied to you, all right? So when you walk into a store, Disney knows. When you walk into a ride, Disney knows. When you buy something, Disney knows. And they can target ads at you, or they can target other things for you. That's, actually the Internet of Things applied to you, all right? Cognitive systems, which we're going to talk about today, and then this whole world around next generation security. We've all come to the point that, security doesn't work today, and it needs to change, all right? We're starting to see a lot of cognitive and AI-based security programs, all right? And we'll see a lot more before we're done. So that's really the way that IDC kind of sees the world. So, talking about cognitive technologies, how does IDC define cognitive? All right? So, basically that one statement. Cognitive software supports the human decision-making with more accuracy, confidence, speed, and agility based on broader and deeper bodies of evidence applied to a more comprehensive view of pertinent conditions without bias. So what does that mean? It really means that the data helps drive the recommendations and the predictions. And the idea is to augment or enhance your capabilities. Decision-making capabilities, your research capabilities, that's really what we're looking for. Your driving capabilities, that's really what cognitive software is all about, all right? And we talk about it as using deep natural language processing and analysis. It conducts learning in real time, all right? Everybody's talked about machine learning, and everybody knows about machine learning. I think the gentleman after me is probably going to give you kind of a lesson in machine learning. We'll talk a little bit about it as well. But that machine learning needs to go on continuously and be applied in real time for us to consider that a cognitive agent, Has the ability to identify past experiences and act on those and actually, learn from those. Predicts and recommends possible outcomes, and then it's a cycle. It's a continuous cycle, all right? So in terms of the platforms that we define, so we talked about cognitive software. Now what's a cognitive software platform? Well, it's a tool for building a cognitive application or a smart application or a intelligent application, all right? It's a tool to allow you to build those kind of things. We have defined these kind of 4 blocks, and in our thinking, all right, all 4 blocks need to be represented for it to be considered a cognitive program, or a cognitive platform. You need to have some kind of user-data interaction piece of it. There needs to be some kind of knowledge representation. The system has to have a knowledge base to work off of, all right? There's some aspect of machine learning to this, either supervised or unsupervised, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then there's some aspect of reasoning to this, either on ontology-based reasoning, which means, I've got a predefined set of taxonomies and words that I can actually work with, or, I have a knowledge graph, all right, that maybe are, built automatically, but it can be traversed and reasoned and looked at. So, why is our cognitive systems important today? Well, information is expanding exponentially, all right? How many people have gone to their doctor recently and asked them about a particular research report, and the doctor says, I can't keep up with all the research that's going on in my area, all right? There's just too much of it. And it's not just doctors. It's patent, it's research, it's, everybody is trying to keep up with what's going on. There's just too much information being generated too quickly. Those knowledge workers that are in the workplaces today can't keep up with all that research, all right? And then what we're seeing is because they can't keep up with that research, some are falling well behind others, all right? They're not able to deliver the type of performance that we've come to expect, because they can't accumulate that information quickly and assimilate it quickly enough to actually get the decisions out there to affect the job performance and affect, the decision making within the organization. So in terms of effects, what are we seeing cognitive systems do? Well, how many people remember knowledge management? The knowledge management craze of the 1990s, early 2000s, okay? Well, knowledge management's back, all right? But it's automatically being built now by cognitive applications, all right? So that's one of the aspects. We now have knowledge management where we can encapsulate and systematize our best practices, but they're being done automatically through software. People aren't having to put this in. They can augment human judgment. They can help accelerate investigation or discovery. And then, as we mentioned before, they recommend the best practices or recommend courses of action. So one of the questions I get, and I heard Greg say something about this, why is artificial intelligence, why do some people say artificial intelligence? Why do some people say machine learning? Why do some people say cognitive computing? If you're a competitor of IBM, you don't want to say cognitive computing. All right, that's just, they invented the term, they invented the phrase. Nobody wants to hear the competitor talk about cognitive computing. All right, so they've invented all these other terms. Artificial intelligence, well, it's been out there for a while, but what's happened is, it's been whitewashed, okay? How many people have ever heard about the AI winter? Okay, we've got a few folks. So back when I first was in school, there was something called expert systems and languages called Prolog and Lisp to actually develop expert systems. And that was the first spring of artificial intelligence. People said, well, we're going to develop these expert systems. They're going to solve all my problems. I'm going to have rules in there to do everything. And they fell flat on their face. All right? And AI, artificial intelligence, became persona non grata in the research world for the next 15 years. All right? Well, now we have AI that actually works. Because of the success of deep learning and lots of data and tremendous amounts of compute power, we have actual algorithms that will actually learn. So artificial intelligence is back now, and people actually can start talking about artificial intelligence. So the term has been whitewashed, all right? So people can actually start talking about it again, which is why you're seeing people marketing it. Some people are talking about cognitive computing. Some people talk about cognitive reasoning. Some people talk about a cognitive agent. Google talks primarily about deep learning and artificial intelligence, but mainly deep learning. When you listen to Sundar Pichai, he talks about deep learning, all right? The deep learning algorithms that they have and those kinds of things. He doesn't really talk about actual artificial intelligence. He talks about the broad terms of artificial intelligence, but he doesn't actually say that their products are products that are doing that. Today, for example, they made an announcement that they're saving something like 40% in their data centers on electricity usage because of the deep learning algorithms that they put in. All right, so you can see that their marketing people are saying, use deep learning. All right. Other people are talking about machine intelligence. Other people are talking about neural innovation. One company calls it Neuralytics. All right, let's invent our own term. All right. What this leads to is a fragmented market where people don't understand what is actually happening. And that's one of the problems that we've got, is we don't actually have an understanding of what's going on in the marketplace. All right, because we can't agree on terminology. So this is IDC's view of kind of the cognitive world. All right. At the center, there's the components of cognitive technology. Dialogue management, so for Watson Engagement Advisor does dialogue management. A bunch of other people do dialogue management. There are APIs for video analytics, hypothesis generation from known facts, data stores, and text analytics, speech recognition, the machine learning we talked about, image analytics, all right? So all of these things are APIs that are there. Around that are the cognitive software platforms. So IBM Watson is a cognitive software platform. IPsoft's Amelia is a platform. Digital reasoning, synthesis is a platform. Saffron Technologies has a platform. There are a number of those, and we'll talk more about those platforms later. And then what's really important here is the data, the content and the data. And one of the things that a lot of people haven't been thinking about is where is that data going to come from that fuels these models? All right. So essentially, cognitive systems are essentially computational statistical models built on top of data. So we need to have data to fuel those. So I always like to think of data as the hand and the cognitive system as the glove. All right. If you don't have the hand, the glove's not going to do much. All right. It's the same thing with a cognitive system. And then around the outside, we have different types of applications. Industry applications, B2B services and products, consumer products, and then process applications. And we'll talk a little bit about each one of those later. So Greg wanted me to talk about cognitive in the workplace. So I figured let's start showing some examples. All right. Here's a company called Numenta out of California. They've actually invented their own type of cognitive processing. All right. And that type of cognitive processing works off of what they call sparse data. All right. And it simulates the brain. Numenta's algorithms are actually being used by a company today, Avid Partners, to perform IT management. So this actually it's a monitoring system that can react to an Amazon system going up or down or having problems before any human could keep track of it. All right? And it automatically learns what the anomalies are over time. So IPsoft, I mentioned them before, they have a product called Amelia, all right? And they've personalized it and taken a young college student and taken her picture and her actions and put that up on the screen for people so to personalize the agent. But in this particular example, they're actually working with lending services to provide mortgage broker network advice. So they've actually implemented a system. So when you go sign in for a mortgage, that mortgage broker may recommend to you a particular type of mortgage. Well, that may be based on what Amelia is telling that mortgage broker. All right? There's a small company up in Toronto called Cura Systems. All right? They decided that they wanted to use machine learning and artificial intelligence technologies to do contract review. And the two founders toiled, with the standard machine learning algorithms and all those kinds of things for about 3 to 4 years and couldn't get it to work the way they wanted. So they ended up tossing out the traditional machine learning algorithms, the open source ones that are out and available. They actually created their own IP for machine learning. And now they have a contract review solution that is actually being licensed by Deloitte and being resold by Deloitte. It'll actually tell you, which contract passages are problematic. Which one should the lawyer pay attention to? What contract passages are actually missing from a contract that should be there, all right? And this type of cognitively enabled application, I think, is going to become much more common over time. Greg talked about his company. I would consider his application really a cognitively enabled application, all right? He's not actually selling a platform that you build something on. He's actually selling you a tool that helps solve your problems. I think everybody's aware of IBM Watson, the Jeopardy. I'm not sure how many people are aware of IBM Watson for oncology, all right? It was actually trained over several years by Memorial Sloan Kettering. All of their data, all of their specialties, all of their learning and subject matter expertise went into this model. And now the tool is actually being used and resold. Now what's actually interesting is that the National Hospital in Thailand, in Bumrungrad, is actually using this tool to do cancer diagnosis, all right? And I think that's very interesting because what